Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. We're talking Charlton and Big C sports. This is Real Sports Talk. Today is beautiful May the 2nd, 2016. And I want to wish everyone a beautiful day. And thank you for all of our listeners, especially those of you throughout the world, Latin America. Bienvenidos to you. Also, London, England. We have people at Berlin. Also, the great country of Canada. I know they're happy with the Toronto Raptors right now in the NBA. But also,
let's go get some motion, Charlton.
Yeah, I understand that, Big C. I know you good old boys like your drinks. But keep in mind, Big C, the good old boys up north, when they drink, it comes out of a can. You guys do it in your own backyard, from what I understand, Big C.
I'm assuming they can find a straw to put into that can and, put it on ice.
Well, I was telling you, when I was looking at the game, it was just Toronto playing Indiana, and what a great fan base for the Toronto Raptors. The first road win, actually the first playoff series win since 2001. But we'll get into that in just a little bit later, Big C, because I know you love paying homage to your Hollywood guys, and you know how sports and Hollywood blends together. And Merlin Olsen, we talked about him last time, but Ed Marinero, he's also someone, Big C, an athlete and an actor, Big C.
Well, you think about Ed Marinero, Charlton. He was a marvelous college running back. Actually, in 1970 and 1971, he led the nation in rushing, playing running back for Cornell. And in 1971, he finished second in the Heisman voting to Pat Sullivan, but he only, he had 300 yards less rushing yards than what Pat Sullivan had passing.
Yeah.
He went on to be a number one draft pick of the Minnesota Vikings, Charlton. Played in 2 Super Bowls as a running back with the Vikings.
Yeah.
After a 10-year playing career, Charlton, he got into acting. He went into television more so.
Yeah.
He played in Hill Street Blues, where he played a police officer in that. He also had appearances on the sitcom Laverne and Shirley. That was a spinoff from Happy Days, Charlton.
Yeah, remember that.
And he's also married to Renee Russo, Charlton, another actress who's done a lot of movies. We talked about Tin Cup. She played in Tin Cup, aside from Kevin Costner, Charlton. So, Ed Marinero has had a diverse background, football and acting career. He also played in the soap opera Days of Our Lives. He had various appearances there, Charlton.
Wait a minute, Big C. Are you saying you good old boys down south watch Days of Our Lives too? I thought that was a West Coast thing.
I didn't say that. I said that was one day in our life. I didn't say that about Days of Our Lives, okay? That was one day in our life.
Okay, I think we just spilled the beans. Big C, 40 years NFL. You covered NFL and college football and All-Pro and football and basketball, baseball. You cover everything, but Days of Our Lives, I think we just broke a new on the Charlton and Big C.
Charlton, you misunderstood what I said. I said that was a day in my life that I was watching him play football.
I thought all you good old boys in the South did was football, but now you watch soap operas too. Now I'm starting to think a little bit better about you good old boys down south, Big C. But thinking of good old boys down south, I know that, man, you talk about basketball, and we'll get into the NFL draft too, but basketball. And I look at how San Antonio, some people thought, and me included, I thought maybe they would have their guards down a little bit because OKC was coming on strong. But Big C, it doesn't look like OKC was ready for that game, or were they simply overmatched? They were blown out by San Antonio, Big C.
Charlton, this lends to Greg Popovich's coaching strategy, okay?
Yeah. Let
me rest my veterans at various points in mid-season, late in the season. And you saw that. You look at LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
He came over as free agency, did not take max money. He only took $14 million, Charlton, when he could have got 25.
Only 14?
Only $14 million.
Okay.
And we talked earlier about Tim Duncan only taking 5.2 because he wanted to help the team be better. But when you looked at him and Kawhi Leonard scoring 70-plus points, Charlton, from the front line.
Yeah.
Now, you get that type of production, no one stands a chance.
Yep, that's
San Antonio is truly the unselfish team. I mean, the best 2 teams in the NBA are on the West Coast.
Yeah.
They're well in the Southwest and on the West Coast.
Yeah.
When you talk about unselfishness, I mean, I don't think that OKC was unprepared. Kevin Durant had an all-shooting night.
Yeah.
But you also got to credit San Antonio for playing great defense, Charlton.
Yeah, I know. And when you talk about Popovich, and there's some people that said, well, maybe he shouldn't rest some of his players down the stretch, Big C. But I know.
Charlton, hold on. You talk about some of the people. That's these talking heads.
Yeah.
Like we said before, these are the guys who don't know whether the jock goes on frontwards or backwards, okay?
Okay.
They've never laced up a pair of sneakers. They probably still wear, the white socks with the stripes on. So these guys who've never been a jock telling a coach who's established, who has 5 NBA championships, how to coach a team. They've never drafted or signed a free agent. All they are fans, Charlton. They've never played sports.
Well, actually, there are some analysts that say the same thing. Some ex-players that talk about should he rest players or not. And I think you got to know your own team. And Duncan's about 500 years old, I think, as old as Medusa.
How many of those ex-players have 5 championship rings?
Yep, that's true too,
okay.
Big C. That's true
How
too.
many of them have 3?
Yeah.
Okay, let's be realistic. Who's the genius?
Yeah.
Popovich or the guy sitting there with a mic? I mean, we're sitting here with a mic also talking about the game.
Yeah.
But I respect Pop's position and opinion versus some talking head saying he shouldn't rest the player, because if you had an opportunity to rest and you're on the 4th best record all time in NBA history, Pop knows what he's doing.
Well, you definitely got to know your players. And speaking of knowing your players, this segment is also sponsored by Bud Light. We know your good old boys like your Bud Light down south, Big C, because it tastes great and lets you lose weight, from what I understand, too, Big C.
Charlton, I got to drink 3 Bud Lights to 1, all right? 3 to 1. I can't even get caught.
Well, nothing wrong with that, Big C. But I want to also say that when you talk about, Durant, and he had a kind of an off game, Westbrook has been playing really good basketball. We know some things that Mark Cuban said, that there was only 1 star for OKC, but I think Westbrook has shown himself to be a star player as long as he passes the ball in the clutch. But is Durant's stock falling at all when you talk about him maybe not playing in OKC next year, going to maybe LA or maybe even Washington or New York? If he's going to have not as much of an effect, if they're being blown out by San Antonio, does he still have that star appeal, Big C, to come change a franchise like the Lakers or like the Washington Wizards?
Charlton, show me 3 potential free agents who have more star power and game power than Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You're going to have a couple off games throughout the season, okay?
Yeah.
Even in the playoffs. I mean, you look at Devin George in Indianapolis. I mean, he played lights out.
Yeah.
Did his stock go down or did his stock go up? They still lost the series, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when you look at Durant, you have to look at his body of work, Charlton. Not 1 or 2 games, his body of work.
Yeah.
Consistently a perennial all-star in the NBA. One of the top scorers perennially in the NBA.
Yeah.
His stock can never drop.
Well,
all it can do is increase. It's just a matter of where he's going to end up. He's not going to stay in OKC.
Yeah.
They're already courting him in LA.
Yeah.
New York is interested. Miami is the latest team on the block. Don't count the Miami Heat out because there's no taxes in Miami, so that can be very inviting.
I think that's very true for a lot of golfers and other athletes that go down there. They really get a cut when it comes to taxes. But also, Big C, let me ask you this question, because we look at how the NBA is pan out. I'm really proud of what the Toronto Raptors have done, because this is the first series win since 2001. The great Larry Bird was there last night up in Toronto, and they really turned it up. And their franchise is such a great thing for the country of Canada, because there's no NHL teams in the playoffs this year, unfortunately for Canada. But they have so much interest in basketball in Canada. You have about 20,000 people outside the arena, Big C. How do you explain that atmosphere in the great state, actually the great country of Canada?
Well, when you think about the city of Toronto, Charlton, it's one of the world's mecca cities. It's a beautiful, beautiful metropolitan city. The people there are so engaging and friendly.
Yeah.
And you can see the camaraderie of the city, that you have 20,000+ fans outside of the Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
Standing in the street watching it on the Jumbotron, Charlton. This is a city of pride. This is a team that's playing for a country. Not a state, not a city, but for a country. That's what the Raptors are representing.
Yeah.
And that's the type of pride that you like. I mean, if we could have that type of gamesmanship in our presidential race going on right now in the U.S. Wonderful country this could be.
Yeah, it could be. And when you think about last night's game also, DeMar DeRozan really stepped his game up. 30 points last night. And now the big thing comes for them when they play the Miami Heat. Now, I thought the Heat were a little bit over the hill game because, Dwayne Wade, he's not going to be a star the way he was 5 years ago. I really think this is Toronto's chance to really show how good they can play. Rookie Norman Powell had 13 points. Kyle Lowry had 11 points and 9 assists. And Patrick Patterson had 11 points to help Toronto win a 7-game series. So I think they got over the what they call the choke part. Paul George for Indiana had 26 points and 12 rebounds. And George Hill had 19 points. I really think Toronto right now, they're in a position, if they get past, and they should get past Miami, they can't really feel inferior when they play, if they happen to play Cleveland, Big C. Your thoughts on Toronto getting over the inferiority complex, if that makes sense?
Well, Charlton, we talked a few weeks back where I told you I thought Toronto was the best team in the East.
Yeah.
We all know if you get too close to LeBron, you're going to get a foul call on it. But LeBron right now is atrocious shooting from the field. I think he's only shooting like 21% from three-point range.
Yeah.
His numbers have gone down expeditiously over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So he's never been a great outside shooter. But right now he's become more of a liability shooting the ball outside. This has slowly become Kyrie Irving's team.
Yeah.
But the media still wants it to be LeBron's team. The team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, will only go as far as Kyrie Irving is allowed to take them. If they plan on riding LeBron's back, that game, that series will be over in 5 or 6 against Toronto, Charlton.
Well, I think Kyrie Irving is actually leading the team in scoring right now because LeBron is trying to give the ball to him. Actually allow him to keep the ball more. And speaking of keeping the ball, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Escalade. You can only get it there new, the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, when we look at their opponent for Toronto, we're looking at the Miami Heat. And we talked about how old they seem to be right now. But there's a talk, Chris Bosh, he had that heart issue. Now, I heard Charles Barkley and Shaq last night. They were talking on TNT along with the King of the Jet Smith. Should they keep him out? Because you're talking about a health issue. You don't want to rush a player back just to be an athlete, Big C. None of us have really dealt with that type of medical issue. I would like to see Bosh just, I know that doctors might clear him to play, but why rush it? It's a health issue. It's not about basketball. Just your thoughts on the health aspect. Is that bigger than the game, Big C? I think it should be.
It's beyond the game, Charlton. And I don't know if many listeners remember back in the early 90s when the late Hank Gathers collapsed on the court playing for Loyola Marymount, and Passway lost his life on the court playing the game of basketball. He had that heart condition with the blood clots. He was on blood thinners. He decided to stop taking his medicine because the game, he loved it so much. This is a situation with the Miami Heat, is that you pull his contract. You pay him, but you pull his contract, and the NBA should step in and deny him from ever playing again competitively on the court, because you'd hate to see another basketball player die in front of millions of eyes on a television set, Charlton.
And it's like a lot of athletes, they don't know how to step away. And there's even talk that in boxing, Floyd Mayweather, if they give him $100 million, he's going to come out and fight again. I mean, well, breaking news, $100 million gets him back into the ring. I think anyone would do that.
He can buy a house next to you at that point.
Okay, I understand that, Big C. But think about it. Sometimes athletes don't step away. Cleveland right now, the line is 7.5-point favorite over Atlanta. San Antonio's 8-point favorite over Oklahoma City tonight. So Cleveland, Atlanta's a good team, but Cleveland, they'll probably get the calls down the stretch. And then San Antonio, if OKC has any chance, they have to sneak a game tonight. But that would only be the second loss this season for San Antonio. I don't see that happening, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't see it happen. And when you talk about the Cleveland-Atlanta series, Cleveland's had all these days off, about at least a week off, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now, are they going to be a little rusty? Atlanta handled Boston better than what I thought that they would.
Yeah.
But Atlanta wasn't the team this year that they were last year when they had the 60 victories, Charlton. So they're still an unsolved commodity right now. But I think that they can push Cleveland to the hill. I see this going a 6-7 game series. Cleveland is not dominant. They can match up in the backcourt. Atlanta can with the guards.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the key. So, Horford can be the X factor in Atlanta up front.
Yeah.
Can somebody play with him athletically, Charlton?
Yeah, and that's the key, too. Can someone play with him athletically? Now, as you look at around the NBA, Big C, I know we have Steph Curry, the MVP of the league. And
what's the name?
Okay. I think Klay Thompson, he's kind of putting his name up there because when you think about what's happening with Golden State, the only thing that can really hurt them right now are people going elsewhere. We know Walton has a job down in Los Angeles for the Lakers. But we look how Klay Thompson has played, scored 37 points, in a playoff game. Now, he looks really good against Portland. Curry, I don't think they should bring him back, Big C. And I say that just because they don't need him right now. I know athletes want to come back. Let the guy stay healthy and use him for the finals. If you end up being tied by Portland, maybe then. But I don't think Portland can play with these guys, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, I look at it from this perspective, okay? When did Steve Kerr come back? He came back over halfway through the season, okay?
Yeah.
He stayed out and got rest as a coach. So to have a coach who was a player who's gone through devastating injuries, understanding what his key players need rest.
Yeah.
He has a team that's so cohesive right now. As we looked at, they're at plus 82 in the playoffs since Steph Curry has not been in the lineup.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Where do you have to stress about putting him in? You got Draymond Green who can pop you 30 any night. You know Klay Thompson is one of the hottest shooters in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, Andrew Bogut can get you points inside. Iguodala, great defensive player. So they have players, Charlton, that can fit the bill. Steph Curry understands for the Golden State Warriors to solidify their second consecutive championship, he needs to be healthy because it's going to be a grind. They need to get through San Antonio, not worry about Portland right now, Charlton.
Yeah, I agree. Draymond Green steps in the game, has such a strong attitude. He kind of wills things to happen. Reminds me of a young Karl Malone back in the day, Big C. It may be even a Charles Barkley, but this kid, like a Magic Johnson, can score. He actually hits 3-point baskets this year. Unlike last year, he wasn't very good at it. But 118-106 win over Portland in the first
Charlton,
game.
Let me tell you, the Warriors had a player years ago.
Yeah.
He played at Michigan State. He came in a trade from the New York Knicks. His name was Cassie Russell.
Yeah.
Okay? He was an All-American at Michigan State, and he was an All-Star forward with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Draymond Green is out of Michigan State also. Reminds me so much of this player. Physically, same size, 6'6".
Yeah.
Athletically gifted, can pass the ball, can shoot the ball. That's my comparison to Draymond Green was Cassie Russell, formerly of the Golden State Warriors.
Well, when you think about the Golden State Warriors, too, and we talked about how fanatical they are up in Toronto with the Raptors, 20,000 fans outside, the Golden State Warriors have a 25,000 waiting list. They can't get a ticket. 25,000 waiting list. And they're talking about going across the bay just 8 miles away in San Francisco. I know it's a money game, Big C, but the fans of Oakland, they've seen in that area, in that parking lot where you have the Raiders, you have the Golden State Warriors, and the Oakland A's, they've all won multiple championships. And to take them out of that area, I know it's prettier on the bay. San Francisco has more money. But my goodness, talk about one parking lot anywhere in the country that's had championships, multiple championships, from 3 different teams. I think that's incredible. That spot in Oakland's very lucky for them. But just to get your thoughts too, Big C, when we look at how Damian Lillard's from Oakland, he's a star for Portland. He's the only talent really that they push from the Portland Trail Blazers. If there's any chance for them, they just seem to be overmatched. If there's any chance outside of just Golden State overlooking them, do you give Portland any hopes of even getting 2 games out of this series, Big C?
Well, the thing is, Charlton, Portland is outsized by Golden State. When you look at their backcourt, Leonard and the other guard, they're only 6'3".
Yeah.
So they're not going to be able to back down big guards from Golden State when you put Iguodala in the backcourt and Thompson in the backcourt. You got 2 guys that are 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah.
So you got that height advantage, and size matters in the NBA.
Okay, Donald Trump. Okay, Donald.
Hey, who's that?
Donald Trump likes basketball too, right?
Republican guy. Okay.
You Republicans all thinking like Big C. Go right ahead.
Well, I'm just talking about my unit.
Okay. I understand. And speaking of unit, this segment is also sponsored by your Northern California BMW dealer, home of the ultimate driving machine. Go down and test drive the 1 Series all the way up to the flagship 600 horsepower M7, also known as a 760 Li. And when you test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, I know we've had a lot of talk on football and who would go where, and we know the LA Rams stepped up and took Goff, who was actually, I think, 14-26 at Cal Berkeley. So they think that's going to.
That's a heck of a collegiate career.
Hey, it gives every. It gives every kid under 500 hope. You can be the number 1 NFL draft pick.
Under 700.
When you win 35% of your games, there's always hope. What are your thoughts on that, Big C? It just seems like some teams never learn. I still think back when in the Super Bowl, For the Washington Redskins, Doug Williams threw 5 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl and never saw another start. Here's a guy in golf that goes 14-26, and they said, hey, that's our guy. That's our guy, Big C.
But Charlton, isn't that parallel with Fisher's record since he's been with the Rams? I mean, this is a coach that's only won 32% of his games since he's been with the Rams.
So he matches his quarterback.
He drafts a quarterback who has the same winning percentage in college, never won a conference championship, never beat the top 5 quarterbacks in his conference, and matter of fact, had one game in the conference against Utah last year where he slung 5 touchdowns. He thought he was playing for Utah.
Yeah. And
so, I think it was more of a desperation popularity draft for the Rams. People saying, so many media personnel saying, you got to draft a quarterback because you're coming back to LA. You need a face of the franchise. His name was Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Okay? The last time that the Rams were in Los Angeles, Charlton, the face of the franchise was a guy named Eric Dickerson, I believe.
Yeah.
Who ended up being the NFL's 4th all-time leading rusher. So they didn't do bad with him. They made it to an NFC championship. And prior to him, Charlton, they had Lawrence McCutcheon, and they went to a Super Bowl with Lawrence McCutcheon. Vince Ferragamo playing quarterback. But those successful years that the Rams had in Los Angeles, Charlton, were led by a running back. They also had Wendell Tyler, former UCLA running back.
Excellent guy.
When they lost to the 49ers in an NFC championship game.
Yeah.
So it's been a proven history that the Rams and even USC, playing in the Coliseum, Charlton, were led by running backs. It's been their history.
Yeah.
And so why do you go away from the history of success, Charlton? I have a hard time with it. I'm not an expert like all these guys on television telling you what a team should do.
Yeah.
That couldn't put their hands in the dirt.
Right.
But it seems obvious they should have went the other direction and drafted an offensive tackle. There was too many good offensive tackles in the draft, Charlton.
Well, I think I just still laugh at how they think Marvin Lewis was in jeopardy of losing his job because he goes to the playoffs all the time, even though they haven't gotten to the Super Bowl in Cincinnati. And you have coaches that are sub 500, and they're saying this guy's going to turn our franchise around. But all credit to them. If you get drafted and get the chance to go in and play pro ball, more power to you. But I want to just transition into baseball real quick, Big C. Clayton Kershaw gets 14 strikeouts and a shutout win over the San Diego Padres. Now, Kershaw, a Cy Young, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, but he hasn't gotten the Dodgers into the World Series. But there's always talk about this year. So the Dodgers have had kind of an iffy start. But Kershaw, I just appreciate 14 strikeouts from a closer. The way he is, he's a shutdown pitcher. And I always love watching him pitch for the Dodgers down south, Big C. But one more thing I want to ask you about the draft coming up, because I know you're big on the draft. What other team, we talk about why the Rams took Goff, doesn't make any sense, but they did it. Any other draft picks that stand out in your mind? I know Cardell Jones he was drafted over there by New York, I believe, Big C. Or Buffalo, actually.
By the Buffalo
Bills, yeah.
Cardell Jones. And Rex Ryan, when you look at his roster, he has 4 black quarterbacks on his roster. He's not afraid of drafting a black quarterback. He's looking for the talent that he can develop that will fit into his system. I mean, I look at the Raiders. I thought they wasted a draft pick when they drafted Connor Cook. They already have the young Derek Carr.
He's going to sit the sidelines for 10 years. He'll be a backup for 10 years behind Carr. Doesn't make any sense, Big C.
Well, can he even become the backup? Now, you got to think about the kid that they already have from Penn State that was the backup. His name eludes me at the moment.
I think Hackenberg.
Now, Hackenberg was a kid that was drafted by the Jets this year out of Penn State. Now, he was intriguing, Charlton. His numbers have gone down exponentially since his freshman year. 3 years in a row, his numbers have died, okay?
Yeah.
And he becomes a second-round draft pick. Never won the Big Ten championship, Charlton. But, he's an NFL-ready quarterback. So I'm confused on what the talking heads and some of these draft experts say when you got a quarterback that his numbers go down percentage-wise, touchdown-wise. Oh, his interceptions rose so bad, so I guess he had a statistic that rose. But, everybody made excuses for him instead of his ineptability.
Yeah.
They made excuses for him that it was everybody else and the coaching staff around him. It wasn't him being the starter. None of it fell on his back because they lost, just like Jeff Goff.
Yeah.
You can be one of these quarterbacks, you can lose, but it's the coaching staff and it's the other players on the roster, not your fault, even though you're taking the snaps.
Let me ask you about the Dallas Cowboys. I think Jerry Jones hit a home run when he got Ezekiel Elliott, running back out of Ohio State. I think he's a fast Emmitt Smith. I think he makes a difference in the run game if they run him north-south, because the lateral runners don't really work well in Dallas. But I think if they can run him north and south, up and down the field, like the way Emmitt Smith gained his yards, Big C, I think that's a home run hitter for the Dallas Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott out of Ohio State.
Well, Dallas really realized what they missed the most of all last season, Charlton. That was DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
Not even with Tony Romo being hurt did the offense take such a dive as the running game did. The inconsistency that they had there. Now, they didn't have a backup quarterback. They did draft a quarterback, Dak Prescott, out of Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And Dallas has been one of those organizations over the years that has not shied away from taking African-American quarterbacks. You go back to the early 80s with Tom Landry, when he drafted Reggie Collier out of Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells drafted Quincy Carter out of the University of Georgia. They had Anthony Wright, who also played quarterback there. So the Dallas Cowboys have been one of those teams that have not shied away from minority quarterbacks. And they also, like I said, this year drafted Dak Prescott out of Mississippi State, who had 2 solid seasons his junior and senior year in college.
Yeah. Well, when you think about the last 4 Super Bowls have all featured an African-American quarterback, I know in the front office that's still an issue with the good old boys and the cronyism that happens.
It's beyond an issue, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's almost blatant.
Yeah.
It's almost like, the Rooney Rule that you're going to interview an African-American quarterback. I mean, not a quarterback, but a head coach candidate.
Yeah.
Generally, those guys are in the playoffs. So by the time the interview process is gone at those African-American assistants, Charlton, that Anglo assistant has already gotten the job as a head coach, so they never really had an opportunity, nor were they ever invited to come in and interview.
Yeah.
It's just a facade for a reason, Charlton. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I understand that too. So, Big C, when we think about this, and this final segment is also sponsored by Beneath His Wings Foundation. To support or donate, go to bhwf.org. Contact Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment. She's the best at promotions in Northern California. When you send her a tweet, tell her that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Ford dealer, home of the all-new F-150. They build it for a tough. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. So, Big C, in the final 5 minutes of the program, I know that we have a lot of basketball on track. I really like Toronto's chances of getting past Miami. I think that Cleveland will find a way with the referees' help to get past Atlanta, because you'll have LeBron James again in the Eastern Conference Championship. I would really love to see Golden State and San Antonio, but I want to just ask you your thoughts too. Your thoughts on how they match up, whether you want to see which teams. I already told you I like to see Toronto and Cleveland, also San Antonio, Golden State. What are your thoughts, Big C, and what's happening?
Well, Charlton, you're going to get Cleveland out of the East, okay? I don't think that there's any way that they're going to let them fall by the wayside. They need LeBron from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
Not that he's going to dominate a game, but they've put so much money and investment in LeBron over the years in the NBA. Even though you have bona fide stars across the table, he's just been marketed to that point. So it behooves the NBA to get the Cleveland Cavaliers at least to the Eastern Conference Championship.
I think Adam Silver will make sure that happens, but as we know, there's a lot that goes on in the world of sports that obviously isn't really talked about on television. But I saw something happen at the end of the game last night when I saw Jerosian push a guy under the basket for Indiana. Can't remember his name.
Really? You don't believe your eyes or what you didn't see on TV?
Well, they showed it about 5 times on the replay, and Shaquille O'Neal.
It was a bad camera angle, Charlton. That's all that was. It was a bad camera angle.
Well, Shaq said that wasn't a push because people push Shaq like that all the time. But Barkley said, yeah, it was definitely a push. He pushed the guy 5 feet from where he was standing. So, it depends on what the referees want to call. That's what's going to happen, Big C.
But, that's playoff basketball, Charlton. You're going to get shafted on a call here and there.
Yeah.
But the superstars are going to get the call. That's what the NBA is all about. This is marketing.
Yeah.
101. We need this guy in. We need a 6-game series. We don't want a 4-game sweep. We need to act like this is competitive.
Yeah.
We have to have people taking bad shots to allow somebody to win, Charlton.
Well, speaking of winning, too, I want to touch on the Denver Broncos. I think they made a great hire in a running back. They got a kid out of Utah, Devontae Booker. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons for Utah. I saw this kid play in high school at Grant High School, Sacramento, about 6 feet, 220 pounds. He's very fast. He's physical. He reminds me of a runaway running back by the name of Emmitt Smith, a little bit faster. And I just appreciate Denver. I know they got Brock Osweiler. I don't understand how he signed $72 million contract with Houston, and he was a backup. But Booker, I think, is going to help their running game because Anderson helped them last year in the Super Bowl, Big C. So Elway Sanchez might be his quarterback, but I really like the home run they hit with Devontae Booker, Big C, out of Utah.
When you think about Booker, he led the Pac-10 in rushing back-to-back years, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so he's a stable running back. He also played in a pro-style offense.
Yeah.
Not only was he the capable runner, but he's an adequate catcher out of the backfield. So he fits the pro-style scheme. He knows how to pick up on the blitz. And we talked about it earlier. Utah beat Cal 3 consecutive years. Jeff Goff was never able to beat him.
Yeah. See, there you go again, Big C. You always like to count the guys that win. Why can't you just like who they tell you to like, Big C?
That's what sports is all about, winning, Charlton. Show me a fan that wants to invest his money in a loser, which is too many of them doing that. But, you know, to have a winner, look at the fans in Denver. You talk about loyalty in the mile-high city.
Yeah.
A sellout every game. Now, that honeymoon is only going to last about a year and a half, 2 years in L.A. if they don't put a winner on. Now, I'm waiting on about 6 games into the season for the excuses to start for Goff.
Yeah.
But there will be no excuses for Booker. You put him with Sanchez in the backfield. Now, Sanchez is a proven starter in the NFL.
Yeah.
Many people don't realize, statistically, he's the same as Andrew Luck in his NFL career.
Yeah.
Plus, he went to back-to-back AFC championship games with the Jets his first couple of years. So this is a quarterback that can play, and he's NFL ready, Charlton, as they've always said, NFL ready.
Well,
I don't see much of a drop-off this year in Denver at quarterback, Charlton.
No, I agree very much, Big C, but I also agree we're out of time, Big C. It goes by too fast.
What time is it?
It's game time. I know you good old boys are so busy practicing football down South Alabama, waiting for USC to come beat you guys in the kickoff classic. And I want to tell you, as always, the University of Southern California Trojans, Lynn Swan is hired on as the athletic director. Now, USC Trojans, boy, get ready for the Trojan horse, okay? Every time they score, they ride the Trojan horse. And you can ride the Trojan horse, too, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on Charlton and Big C Sports. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope you have a super fantastic day.